Hola a todos y bienvenidos. Continuamos con Disco Elysium. Vamos a ver qué podemos hacer por aquí. La hora del karaoke, vale. ¿Quién denunció el crimen? Ropa de la basura, pantalones, encuentra tu placa. Esto nada, tatuajes. Pegarte un lingotazo. Pasadizos secretos, vale. Encuentra a Morel, allá tu ave heráldica. Marido de clase obrera, el gamberro de la carretera. Chicos de Hardy, tatuajes. Los guantes, vale. Vamos, perfume de muerte. Y encuentro el arma de crimen, vale. La cuestión es que hay cosas que prefiero hacerlas cuando esté Kim. Entonces no sé si me puedo ir a dormir ya, ahora. En plan, pasar el día. Había aquí creo una tirada. Sí, mira. Voy a probar esto.
Again, you find yourself looking at that big old
Aún
window.
no es la hora. ¿Y cuándo es la hora? Ah, mira, a lo mejor puedo hablar con esta, es verdad.
Oh, hello, dear. Of course, dear.
¿Cuál es el
That
más
would be
grande?
the giant of Coconur. The giant lives in the most arid parts of the vast Coconur Desert in South Samara, casting a strange light across the barren wastes.
¿A qué se refiere con luz extraña?
Mirage or psychogenous luminance.
Ajá. ¿Y cómo de grande es?
No one knows for sure. It is like an awful mountain appearing from below the horizon and expanding to cover almost a third of your field of vision.
¿Es peligroso?
The towering luminosity of Coconur is a bad omen in local folklore. Some say it's a fata morgana, others, fate unimaginable. That's what makes it so peculiar. A species surviving at the very limits of scientific law. The giant of Coconur must be the largest animal the planet can support. There are limits, you see, to how large a metabolism an ecosystem can beget. Some say a gravity anomaly below the Coconur Desert might allow the creature to grow to these gargantuan sizes.
Great. This is great shit. You need more. Gravity anomaly. Digging it. Digging this parascientific stuff right here.
¿Cuál es el criptido más pequeño?
Cryobacter catlensis.
Cryobacter catlensis?
Yes, a unicellular bacterium that was discovered in one of the northernmost points of Kutla on the Boreal Plateau by renowned geologist Caitlin Mijanou some 70 years ago.
¿Qué tiene de especial?
The bacterial colony Mijanou found had remained alive while frozen in ice for longer than anyone could reliably estimate. Certainly from before recorded history. Mijanou disappeared shortly after injecting herself with the bacteria she had brought back to study, no doubt in hopes of prolonging her own life.
¿Cómo? ¿Se inyectó eso a sí misma?
Yes, the bacteria had survived in the ice since times immemorial. It is not hard to see where she could have gotten the idea.
¿Entonces hay una geóloga inmortal vagando por el mundo?
Yes, and she's quite mad, too. After she treated herself with the bacteria, she stopped aging, but also became increasingly eccentric and irascible so that even her oldest friends were forced to pull away. We can assume that she has been living somewhere in the wilderness for decades now, all alone except for the Cryobacter catlensis coursing through her bloodstream.
Wow. ¿Cuál es el criptido más peligroso?
The gnome of Jeroma.
¿What? ¿El gnomo de Jeroma? No suena muy preocupante.
Oh, it is. None of his victims survived. Grieving relatives never even found their bodies because the gnome's venom dissolved. organic tissue.
¿Cómo es ese críptido?
It was reportedly a small creature with webbed fingers and a protruding forehead and a gangly little thing. Quite scary to look at. A couple of campers found it when it was already dying. They heard an odd wailing in the woods and followed the sound. They were scared and wrapped it in tarpaulin to suffocate it. It still took the gnome of Jeroma an entire day to die.
¿Existe alguna fotografía?
Alas, no. And the first scientist who got his hands on the creature's corpse put it in a jar of formaldehyde, thinking that would detoxify the gnome's venom. Instead, all the venom leaked out of the creature's teeth and into the surrounding liquid, dissolving the creature itself. A poetic end, perhaps, but a real loss for science.
Alas, always alas, and then it was gone. Isn't that overly convenient?
Parece muy oportuno que haya desaparecido y que no se haya vuelto a ver nada parecido.
I understand your skepticism, but that's what happens with things that are rare and stand out. Their disappearance is most memorable, and they are least likely to be found again.
Es que eso oír hablar de críptidos y ya no quiero parar.
I'm glad you like them, but I'm not really one to tell you about all of them. You should ask my husband if you get the chance. He's the real expert.
Todo bueno. Ay, mira, está aquí el cocinero. A lo mejor le puedo preguntar algo del mejunje este que prepara, ¿no? Aunque no me va a entender.
A thin man is smoking below an exhaust hood, occasionally sipping from his mug. This must be the Whirling's cook. As you step in, he nods toward the table and says something in a completely foreign language. The only words you can make out are Garansi and Kubek. Okay, it's definitely not his name. Whatever you do, please don't call him Garansi Kubek. Please. It's not funny.
Hola, señor. ¿Tiene tiempo para unas preguntas?
The man puts his cup down and replies something, his left hand drawing arcs in the air.
Tiene unas ollas impresionantes.
He smiles and bangs his ladle against each of his pots in turn. It's almost like music, especially with the sounds of assorted dishes boiling and simmering on the stove.
Leo dijo que eres amigo de mañana, ¿es verdad?
The mention of mañana gets his attention. He smiles and delivers a whole slew of unfamiliar words and lively gestures. Then he falls silent again. They're friends.
¿Sabe qué hay detrás de la puerta? La puerta azul.
He looks up at you, then looks away quickly, shrugging and muttering something to himself. Shrugging is an international sign for, no, I don't know what's behind that door.
¿Qué lleva ese boss que está cocinando?
The man says a couple of sentences in that strange language of his, and then seems to wait for you to speak. I'm pretty sure he asked you a question. He doesn't know your language. You can just say something cool in return.
Pasarte los dedos por el pelo, Mercurio en ascenso.
Boss need more vodka?
Vodka.
Vodka Borscht! I love it, Bratan! Turn it the fuck up and then ask for some yourself.
Turning it up seems like a dangerous idea, honestly. The place is a powder keg.
No, vodka no. Ya vale.
The cook gives you a long, disappointed look, then turns the stove off and seems to wait for you to speak.
Creo que no necesito nada más. Sigue así, machote. No necesitamos ya que estos se pongan borrachos, agresivos y locos y empiece a... y se ponga aquí el asunto peor de lo que está ya. Vale, podemos pagarle la habitación ya que está aquí.
Can I help you? Got the 20 real?
Sí.
Good. You got the room for the night, but remember, you'll need another 20 real tomorrow.
Me voy a arruinar, tío.
Take it easy on him. Deep down, he really hates being the guy who has to remind you.
Another thing. Great. I love those.
Entonces la línea telefónica está caput.
Yes, and the phone company is taking its sweet time sending someone to fix it. Losers.
Es muy extraño.
It's not strange, it's inconvenient.
¿Es verdad que fue sabotaje?
Who told you that?
Nunca revelo mis fuentes, sería deshonesto.
Fine, yeah. It looked like someone had messed with the wiring. It was shortly after the hanging, but I don't know if it's at all related. Plenty of assholes around here who aren't murderers. If you do find out who cut the line, though, let me know, so I can forward them the repair bill. Oh, yes, that door. No, I don't. Awesome.
He's attempting to maintain. He looks at the dust on his...
Yes?
Podremos hablar con la rubia. A lo mejor ahora le podemos petar. En la puerta. Esta es la de Kim, ¿no? ¿Puedo entrar? No, no puedo.
The door is closed. Still no answer. Still nothing. This door can only...
Vale. Pues nada. Va a ser que no. Uy, aquí hay algo. ¿Qué pasa ahí? ¿Qué es esto? Estuche de cinta vacío. Ok. Aquí huele que pestañe un poeta. Podría describirlo. Aquí tampoco puedo hacer nada. Y puedo... A ver. No parece que pueda hacer nada aquí. Se me equivoco de botón. Perdonad. A ver esto.
Well, hello. Someone seems to have found himself a bottle of alcohol. Here's where the magic happens.
¿Miras la botella?
Light reflects off the green glass of the Commodore red. The gods have been generous. Better pop it open before they change their minds. Wow, the gods of mass production have made this alcohol container laughably easy to open. A child could have done it.
No, no quiero.
Fine. We're not worried. You'll crawl back to this bottle soon enough. We'll give you another chance. Boo. Yes, it's merciful that way. It's your friend. Come back to it. We're all rooting for you too. Not all of us.
No, no quiero, no quiero. Nos estamos reformando, siempre lo digo. Mira, aquí me debo poder bañar, ¿no?
This is not the cleanest bathtub in the world, but
Desde
it's
luego que
cleaner
no.
than you are right now. Ah, that soap scum smell. It smells like life, at least compared to you.
Darte un baño, sí,
The
por favor.
bathtub slowly fills with water. The water beckons. The water is only lukewarm, but still comforting, like amniotic fluid. A few beer cans are bobbing up and down along your flanks, like sad duckies. You feel nice and lonely, and so tired.
Sacar las latas de cerveza.
Now you are alone with your thoughts in the tub. But it's easier than being alone with your thoughts outside the tub.
Quedarte un rato en la bañera.
Your fingers grow pale and are covered with tiny whirls as the water cools.
¿Imaginar algo?
You see the corpse. You can still smell the cadaver on you. It's going to take more than one bath to get rid of that stench. Then, houses along a narrow street. A video rental. Darkness on the planet's curvature.
Salir de la bañera.
The waterline recedes as you stand. You are cold now. Your clothes stick to your still moist skin.
Ok. Ok. ¿Qué más tenía? Aquí podía hacer algo, ¿no?
A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face, adorned with...
Vale, electroquímica. Creo que tengo cosas que me dan electroquímica. Teatralidad, speak the course, forma física, electroquímica. Electroquímica. Instinto, forma física y... y estoy buenísimo, Buenísimo. Electroquímica más 3.
A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In
Oh,
it,
sigue siendo
your
muy
face,
baja. Nada, no lo
adorned.
vamos.
It's too late. Like an image on film. The expression belongs to your primary motor cortex. It would take a minor neurological miracle for you to cease producing it.
Bueno, iba a ser mucho. ¿Qué llevaba yo puesta? Esto. Esto. Y estos, ¿no? Vale. Y espera, voy a ponerme la herramienta. A ver si puedo repetir esta.
A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall.
No tengo la herramienta a mano.
In it, your face.
¿Era esta?
A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face.
Conectividad. Tengo algo de conectividad. Tacatán, 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 tacatán. Pues creo que no. No. Vale. Pues nada, no lo voy a subir, así que... Esto ya lo he visto, creo.
The window stands.
Se rompe y explota. What?
The window stands. The morning light hurts your eyes.
Nada. Nada de nada. Oh, no sé qué hacer ahora mismo. Voy a ver si puedo dormir. Supongo que no.
The bed is still cold.
No. Todavía no puedo. Vale, puedes irte a la cama a partir de las 9. Me quedan 3 horas. Madre mía. Madre mía. A ver, aquí, ahora que me acuerdo, aquí había un mural que ya no me acuerdo si había hecho algo o no con eso. O sea, un mural, una pared, vamos. Esta.
Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here. You have no clue. It's just a wall.
Pues nada. Voy a ponerme... Voy a hablar. Voy a intentar hablar con Kuno. Si no me dice nada, me vuelvo al banco, paso tiempo y me paso al día siguiente, porque es que no... Es que hay un montón de cosas que quiero hacer, pero estando con Kim. ¿Puedo hacer algo más con esto?
You won't get far without...
Veamos si el señorito Kuno nos quiere decir algo, ahora que no está el cuerpo aquí.
Kuno's like Kuno's dad? Kuno doesn't give a fuck. Yeah? The kingdom of Kuno? Yeah, whatever. Kuno, the fuck about it? You're testing Kuno. Get lost, Kuno gets it. Problem is, Kuno and his dad had a little Don't take for fucking ever. Kuno's got wheels. The fuck do you want with it? Good call, pig. Kuno
vale.
does...
Pues nada. Me voy al banco. No quiero hablar con nadie.
You sit on the wind. Time passes. The sun does its best.
Mira, además me paso...
Time passes. You
Espera,
wonder how you're...
que además he conseguido ahí ya un...
Call
investigar
the
una
Mama
cosa.
Dapwa.
Una cosa de estas.
It's not only your eardrums that register sound anymore. Your very skin has become an organ of hearing. Looking for a whisper, light and low. A god who's very, very silent. Nothing escapes you. A cockroach in the other room. A candy wrapper falling on dry grass. A drunk falling from a chair in a bar 20 meters away. In fact, you haven't heard the call du Mama Dakwa, but you have discovered that you have amazing hearing. It must be the only part of you the alcohol hasn't drowned out. Keep listening.
Madre mía, más 3 percepción. Estoy que me salgo ahora con la percepción. Ah, vale. Vamos a ver si acabamos esta también.
You sit on the wind-worn.
Vale.
Time passes. You wonder how you're going.
Uy, aquí hay algo. Algo que antes no estaba, ¿no? Ahí abajo hay algo. Ajá. Y... uy, aquí hay otro banco. Grabado en la madera apenas visible recuerda él. El resto se ha perdido con el tiempo. ¿Qué habrá ahí abajo? ¿Y cómo llego ahí abajo? Del conducto emana un olor rancio de un almacén de patatas en primavera. Ya. Ah, bueno, igual puedo venir por aquí, claro. Supongo. Ratas. Este ya lo había visto, que era donde estaba la
A
escopeta
few
aquella,
bricks
¿no?
have fallen off, revealing a compartment behind the wall. It's too dark to see inside, a secret room infested with rats, spiders, and woodlice. Seems like an old weapons cache from the revolution. It means there are firearms, albeit in... This is a good find.
Sí, esto ya lo tenía. ¿Qué más puedo hacer por aquí? En la nevera supongo que ya no me hará falta,
The
¿no?
bear's eyes are still glowing, a friendly cartoon. The paper still smells.
Algo más, algo más.
A thick layer of coal dust.
Creo que no, y aquí ya solo podía ir hacia arriba. Hacia abajo no podía ir, ¿no? Pues no lo sé. Ay, espera, me pongo la linterna, ¿no? ¿Hay algo por aquí? Creo que no. Bueno, por aquí hay ratitas, qué asco.
Only the red cable is plugged into the breaker box, while the black one lies an electric sizzle. The room is slightly quieter now.
¿Por qué he desenchufado esto, no? Desenchufaba la nevera, entiendo.
The bear's eyes are dead and empty. Ice inside the fridge slowly melting. The power has been cut off.
Ok. Pues nada, chicos, yo creo que aquí no hay nada. Así que me voy a dormir. ver si ahora puedo ver algo por la ventana. Que como siempre me dice que no es la hora.
Again, you find yourself looking at that big old window.
Estos se fueron. Venga, me voy. Me voy para arriba, a dormir. Mañana supongo que ya estará aquí, porque es que si no... quítatela. Uy, cierra la puerta. Que no vea nadie el desastre que hay aquí dentro. Oye, aquí hay un montón de botellas, es una pena que no las pueda coger. Sí que puedo. A ver, ¿podré coger estas? ¡Ostras! Sí que puedo cogerlas. Mira, así también recojo un poco el destropicio este. ¿Más? Esta también, ¿no? Vale. ¡Ja! Pues no lo sabía yo, oye. ¡Qué descubrimiento! Madre mía. ¿Habrá más botellitas por aquí? ¿Por allá? Creo que no. Es que como las botellas no las resaltan. Bueno, cool. Ya está un poquito más ordenado esto. ¿Aquí habrá más botellas? Creo que no. Vale. Vale, pues nada, a dormir, ¿no?
The bed is still cold from the...
Ah, espera un momento. Ah, mira, esto también puedo interactuar con él. Vale, nada.
The bed is still cold from the broken window. It's not easy, but your bones are so tired from what feel like weeks of work on the case. You have to try. After what feels like hours, you feel you might be sleeping.
Ups, qué mal ha sonado eso, ¿no?
Thoughts, baby. A million little lights in the dark. You're one fine instrument, brother. All those faces and all those names. All that laughter and screaming and scheming around. Every corner and every street. Recorded in you. Forever on ferrotape.
Girando. ¿Me estoy soñando?
No, you're spinning tapes at the discotheque. The great unceasing disco of the mind. The flash. The bang. The endless learning experience.
Girando en el vacío.
On and on it goes, for untold hours. At the disco where you first asked her to dance. Rising, above the dark curvature, the great wingspan of sleep. Studded with stars. Behold, there are millions of them down there. The first time, the last time. The smoke in her mouth. The plotted flowers. The faces turning, changing.
¿Qué es esto?
It's the world, Harry boy. And you're made of it. Every day you're out there, you make more of yourself from it. I'm afraid you can't be unmade now. You can never forget this shit.
Los colores, las voces.
All stuck
on loop, whirling, spitting out words and images.
You're the son of the world again. Harrister, a ceaseless agent, picking up litter and old newspapers, collecting your little bubblegum wrappers and idiotic picture postcards. Meaningless keepsakes.
Reading your awful letters and recalling things, aren't you? The endless names of the world. An address book you are. The map of a city.
Ahí le has dado. Soy un agente del mundo.
You'll go insane if you keep going like this. One more day, and you'll be in the loony bin. I just know you will. And for what, brother man?
For the money, baby. For the greater good.
Solving your little crossword puzzles. Doing your tasks. Crossing names off lists. Trying to become some sort of world detector. It won't make it okay. It won't put smoke back in her mouth.
No sé. ¿Estamos haciendo progresos comedidos, firmes? Otra vez con lo de siempre. Menudo animal político está hecho nuestro Harry. Sigue sin darse cuenta que el mundo es quien lo está cambiando a él.
He's got no idea what he's in for.
¿Por qué?
'Cause only love can break your heart.
Sentí la almohada bajo tu mejilla.
Beep, beep, beep. The alarm is ringing, Harry. The disco circus goes on and on. You barely slept 3 hours last night.
You can do it. It's nothing. Do it for the city. Go. Do it for the picture puzzle. Put it all together. Solve the world. One conversation at a time.
Madre mía, menuda nochecita. Y eso que nos fuimos a dormir tempranito, ¿eh? A ver, ¿qué te pasa hoy?
Good. You're up. Listen, there's something that's been bothering you for a few days now.
¿El qué?
It's a suspicion, or a feeling really, that things are not quite in hand around here. An earth-shattering deduction from your psyche. What will those guys come up with next? Every day, things seem to spin more and more wildly, out of control. The center isn't holding. And despite your efforts to moderate and contain these energies, things only seem to be getting worse.
Espera, yo pensaba que todo iba bastante bien.
Oh, sure. You've been making progress on your case, interviewing people, solving side tasks. But who's focusing on the big questions?
¿Qué se supone que debo hacer?
You've got to find out who bears la responsabilité.
¿Qué es exactamente eso de la responsabilité?
The most awesome, terrible thing. It is human nature to crave la responsabilité and to deny it. That's why it must be distributed across many different organizations, agencies, offices, and portfolios.
Yo creía que ya estaba atribuyendo la responsabilidad, la del asesinato, para ser más claros.
Harry, you're thinking about this too narrowly. La responsabilité isn't concerned with trivial questions like who killed who. It's about the real issues, the human welfare index, the price of staple goods, the transition to real democracy.
Pues vale.
Whoa. This isn't some kind of dictatorship. You can simply seize la responsabilité for yourself. It must be given by a legitimate authority, like a committee.
¿Quién debería confirmar dicho comité?
Only the most even-keeled minds in Martinez. Your half-brother, the lieutenant, is a natural place to start. Together, you'll be able to discover who has la responsabilité in Revachol. And, if necessary, you'll have the wisdom and expertise to assign it among yourselves.
¿Qué sucederá una vez que hayamos asignado la responsabilidad?
Most likely, your findings will be collected in a report, which will be carefully reviewed by your superiors. Once they've reviewed it, those same superiors will produce a set of recommendations to be taken up at the next meeting of the Standing Committee. Rest assured, no matter what happens, it will be done through the proper channels.
Pues vale.
Good luck. Your report is eagerly anticipated.
A ver, ¿de qué va esto? Por aquí las cosas son un desastre. Alguien tiene que hacer algo. Lo primero es lo primero. Algunos moralistas y tú deberías fundar un comité para decidir de quién es la culpa. Madre mía. Pero ¿por qué me meteré yo en estos fregados? Dime que Kim está ahí abajo. Vamos a verlo, por favor. Dime que ha vuelto. Tenemos que hacer muchas cosas. Buenos días, Kim. ¿Cómo ha ido tu viaje?
Yes?
Kim, tenemos que hablar de responsabilidad.
I'm glad to hear it, Detective. I was wondering when we'd get to this very subject.
¿Qué quieres decir?
If you ask me, it's high time for you to set aside these frivolous side tasks and focus 100% of your energies on the case before us.
No, me refería a la responsabilité. Ya sabes, del tipo que se atribuye.
Why are you pronouncing it like that gentleman from the Institute of High Stability? You know what? Forget it. What specifically are you trying to assign responsibility for?
Toda esta situación. La del asesinato.
But isn't that our job?
No, es algo más complicado que eso. Hay detrás toda una dimensión histórica o socioeconómica.
Now I understand. Next, I suppose you're going to tell me you need to form a committee to assign this responsibility.
¿Cómo lo has sabido?
Simple. Because moral intern types love to form committees. In any event, I am just a humble law official. I may work under the moral intern's umbrella, but I'm certainly not qualified to serve on any committee. You know who might be, though? That Mr. Villodroit, the gentleman you met in the young man's apartment.
En el apartamento del joven.
If I were trying to get in touch with the coalition, I would start by seeking him out. But first you might need to speak with his young companion. Now, was there anything else?
Oye, pues mira, mejorar la lógica no me importaría. La verdad, tengo un montón de cosas.
Yes?
Look at you. It's because you're a failure. They sent you to Slight, Precinct 57.
¿Qué? No, eso no puede ser.
Just think about it for a second. You're a raging alcoholic who showed up 3 days late and argues with his necktie. You weren't sent here to win.
Kim, ¿y si me han asignado este caso porque soy un desastre? En plan, coño.
I've considered it.
Pero no es cierto, ¿verdad?
I don't think I can say one way or another. I do think it's somewhat unlikely, though.
¿Y eso por qué?
I checked the records. This jurisdiction dispute, who polices Martinez, reaches back to the 30s. It's as old as my station. And all this time we can't decide who gets Martinez? I think, yes, both stations would prefer a win.
¿De verdad me ves como una apuesta segura?
Safe? No. But you're old. You've made it this far. Something has brought you through. We've only just started working together, so I don't know what it is yet. But it's there. So no, I don't think they sent you as a joke. And even if they did, they are in for a surprise.
He's right. There are no airtight theories, just paranoia. You've given it some thought. Now let it go.
¿Me dirá algo este señor?
Again? I can't.
Vale. Ay, a ver, ¿qué hay aquí? ¿Es eso? Rodajas de tomate son tan finas que poder ver a través de ellas.
The man ponders.
Vale, nada. Nada nuevo. Vamos a hablar con este entonces.
Hi again, Gendarme.
Tengo que hablar otra vez con tu amigo de los domingos. Es sobre cosas del comité.
Oh, a committee. How interesting. And if I may ask, Gendarme, what is this committee about?
He's all bemused skepticism. He doesn't actually care what you want with his friend.
Va a designar la responsabilité.
God, of course it is. My friend is always trying to convince me I need a little more responsibility, as though I don't have enough going on already. In any case, I would love to help. But the thing is, I don't know where he is. We don't talk about everything, you see. He might have mentioned something about making a tour of some historical sites up the coast. In an unofficial capacity, of course.
¿Sabes cuándo volverá?
Not a clue. I'm not his agenda keeper, you see.
Supongo que tendré que buscarlo por la
I
costa.
guess you will.
Compostura.
Bye-bye, Gendarme.
Compostura. Compostura. Algo me da compostura por aquí. Pues no. De hecho ya tengo un +1. Vale. Podré hablar con esta.
I've got nothing to say to you. Why are you wasting your time?
¿Eres Lizzie Elizabeth Beaufort?
I suggest not wasting time on trivial pleasantries and focusing on why you are actually here. Titus Hardy.
Even though she has excellent control over herself, something moved behind her eyes, in the way she stands, in her face.
Leo me habló de ti, anda que no le da la sin hueso.
You are not here to chat up the legal counsel. You are here to question these men.
Vale, pues nada, me voy. Tenemos que seguir hablando con Evrag. Vamos a ir a donde Laura. Yo creo. Todo esto no me ha dicho nada del cuerpo, la verdad. Kim, me refiero. Ah, mira, ya sé, voy a hacer una cosa rápida y acabamos el episodio. Aquí. Uy, hay gente aquí. ¿Por qué hay gente aquí? ¡Qué miedo! ¿Quiénes sois vosotros? ¿Y qué hacéis aquí?
That's one brutal motor carriage.
If I were a real skull now, I'd jack it, paint it in palm tree livery, then bottom light it, neon style.
A snazzy shit-ripped skullmobile like this would make a fine trophy. We could, like, hang fucking shrunken heads from the side mirrors. Cops' heads. Scary tribal shit.
Yeah, tribal shit. A cop carriage like this would have proper skull value.
While I appreciate the interest you take in my brutal motor carriage, I have to stop you right there. The RCM takes threats directed at its property seriously.
It's just theoretical work, Copper. No basis in reality. Man, if we were certified skulls right now...
¿Quiénes sois?
I can tell you who we're not, cop. We're not snitches, flow bears, or skulls.
¿Quiénes son estos?
Which is not to say that the skulls are bitches and... On the contrary.
The part of this presentation you want to take home with you, cop man,
Calavera es como la que está allí.
we're not part of the
donde el
skulls.
mural de-
Okay then, let's indulge in some intellectual exchange. These young men seem eager to share their beliefs.
¿Quiénes son las calaveras?
You don't know? What kind of cop are you?
It's not a question. Don't get into it.
Por supuesto que lo sé, solo los estaba probando, muchachos.
The skulls are the most vicious gang of the Besmertne.
Besmatine, or the Besmati, the Immortals, are West River Shoalian crime syndicates.
The nastiest bunch of psychos ever. Jacking carriages and getting into high-speed chases.
Possessing an infinite amount of fuck-all swagger, infamous for their non-verbal modus operandi.
No verbal. No decir nada.
They usually occupy the burnt-out quarter in Jamrock, or you can find them loitering around their brightly painted bottom-lighted vehicles.
I can't wait to become a skull. Bottom lights are wretched aggressive.
¿Conocéis a Cindy la calavera?
Oh yeah, Cindy's a right proper skull.
Yeah, a true artist of the future. Just like Arno van Eyck.
By the way, if you see Cindy, give her our regards.
For all their nihilistic posturing, these young men are not lacking in youthful idealism. Odd, there isn't a hint of hate in them. It's like they're pissed and fuck the world out of some kind of moral obligation. The lieutenant on your left is unusually lenient toward them.
¿Quién es Van Eyck?
Old man, it doesn't matter. You'll be long gone before his greatness is recognized.
Bueno, supongo que tienes razón, soy bastante viejo.
Yep, old as fuck.
Yeah, man. It's like at death's door. No wonder you know nothing about the future. You won't be there.
¿Por qué no hay más calaveras en Martínez?
The Union does their share of policing in Martinez, at least where gangs are concerned. That's why there isn't much organized crime around here.
Apart from the unions themselves, of course.
Eso estaba pensando.
Don't you worry about that. We're gonna make up for the deficit.
Yeah, we are.
¿Sois o no sois calaveras?
We're not franchise skulls. Well, not yet. Once we get our name out there, we'll have a chance to join them.
¿Y qué os hace pensar que la organización os aceptaría?
Because we can be just as psycho and vicious. You'll see.
You'll see for sure once we're in. It's the last thing you'll ever see before the void consumes you.
Throw him off his game.
¿Estás seguro de que un calavera diría algo así?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're only saying practice things for now, so we don't mean no harm to the Skulls brand, or to you.
This is definitely something the Skulls would say, but we're not trying to encroach on the Skulls branding anyway. On the contrary, we're just here to market it.
Así que solo fingís ser tan cañarios y degenerados como los calaveras.
Hey, we could be just as hard. Like pavement on top of pavement, or a brick on top of another brick.
Or a grave on top of a grave.
These kids have the vocabulary, but might be missing a brain. Wouldn't a grave on top of a grave be just a big hole? What's hard about holes? Filling them up, baby.
Ya he tenido bastante calaverosidad. ¿A qué vienen esas chaquetas?
What about them?
¿Por qué pone mundo de mierda en tu chaqueta?
Like I said before, many men keep searching for the one, for so-called true love, which is actually just obsession masquerading as kinship. The thrill of the chase, the hollowness that fills your chest cavity after catching it.
I'm wondering if the poetics come with the jacket, or are they derived from something else entirely?
To catch a fish, you'll need to hurl the lure many times, and even then it isn't certain that you'll get anything. If you blow up the lake, though,
Es una metáfora malísima.
you get more fish in a shorter time. And, for time is of the essence and fleeting ever so quickly, one must think of a way to fuck the whole world and not get caught up in fucking someone. Because when one fucks everything, he fucks nothing. And that, to me, feels glorious. Sticking your dick into the void.
Hate to admit it, but in a weird way, he's got a point.
¿Y por qué pone eso en tu chaqueta, Rubio?
Well, first off, it's a statement and not necessarily something that characterizes me as a person, even though the statement has character. And I do like piss. The word piss epitomizes the struggle taking place in the world. Things being defined as they seem, not as they are. And, I guess, it's also about communal spirit, the future, and truly appreciating our differences. Also, you've got to admit, it catches the eye. And since the Grand Piper is slowly but steadily moving towards basing the economy on it, attention, it is imperative that the medium itself convey the message.
¿Qué?
What I mean by this is, we are all pissed, and that the world is inherently meaningless.
Though he seemed lacking in vocabulary, it seems that the young man has expertise in at least one field, even if it's rather narrow. Is it a coincidence that here we have 2 badass jackets and 2 badass cops?
Oye, Kim,
Yes?
¿crees que es una coincidencia?
What is?
Que tengan 2 chaquetas y nosotros seamos 2.
What are you implying?
¿Cuál te pondrías?
I'm not sure I understand you, detective.
¿Eres más de una o de otra?
Neither.
Venga, Kim, es un ejercicio mental de nada.
Fine, if only to end this discussion. Theoretically, if I were a juvenile delinquent, if I were to already be down that path, I think peace is the stronger of the 2 statements.
¿En serio? Me parece bien, yo soy más del rollo mundo de mierda.
Seems about right, especially considering your heroic exit attempts.
That's an origin story for a dynamic duo right there.
So are we done here? Or you don't need us around for your secret whisper party, do you?
Ay, no quiero las chaquetas. ¿Para qué las quiero? Madre mía. ¿Sabéis algo del asesinato?
Murder?
Un hombre ha sido ahorcado en el patio del Wheeling in Rags.
Yeah, sure. We'll gladly tell you everything we know about it. It was a man.
No tiene ni idea, ¿verdad?
Also, he was hanged.
¿Algo más?
He was hanged from a tree.
Yeah, I mean, duh.
These punks don't know anything. Let's just move along.
Hey, stop right there. How does one know anything?
Ah, this sounds like epistemology, a field so occupied by thought that it begins to question thought itself. However, there is no way these young men could possibly be aware of her work.
Sé que no sabes nada.
Exactly. How can one know shit? For example, how can one be sure that there truly is a body hanging behind a hostel?
What if it's art? Or just a mere specter?
No lo es, el hombre se ha muerto y necesitamos respuestas.
So what do you think we know?
Pues nada. La verdad. Vamos a llamar a la de la sección a ver si
Inside,
saben
you see a
algo de
set
las
of
fotos.
steering levers, a radio microphone, a puller.
Coger la
This is
radio.
precinct 57. How may I assist you?
Aquí.
Still no word, I'm afraid, sir.
¿No?
I know it must be frustrating. Was there anything else you wanted to ask?
Pues nada más.
57th over.
In the cabin, you
Nada más. Lo único que quería era eso. Y si no hay novedades, pues nada. Creo que es el momento de guardar y dejar el episodio de hoy. Así que nada, como siempre os digo, si os está gustando esta serie, por favor dejad un like al vídeo, no olvidéis también suscribiros y activar la campanita para que os avise cuando sube episodios nuevos. Y nada, nos vemos muy pronto en el próximo. Muchísimas gracias.